For whatever reason, during the course of the Unexplored Mojave, I completely missed Nelson and Camp Forlorn Hope. Now, both of these locations are tied together. Camp Forlorn Hope is held by the NCR, whereas Nelson is held by the Legion, although it was formerly held by the NCR. Now, the conditions at these two locations are very different. Camp Forlorn Hope shows us the horrors of war, and we can see the NCR is in a very desperate state at this camp, whereas at Nelson we can see that Caesar's Legion does have somewhat of an advantage over the NCR, at least at this present moment in time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out Camp Forlorn Hope and Nelson. Now for this video, I'll be using another account, that way we can get a full picture of Nelson and Camp Forlorn Hope. Now both of these are on the eastern part of the map, just along the banks of the Colorado River. Nelson is just south of the camp, and also the abandoned Brotherhood of Steel bunkers here, of course, which starts the Dead Money quest, or the Dead Money DLC. Now the first time we come here, we will immediately notice all of these graves to the east, and just below the first grave site is a second grave site that has some bloat flies in it. And we can take out these bloat flies pretty easily, and you're going to want to do this because apparently sometimes these bloat flies can force some of the leadership of Camp Forlorn Hope to run away, where they might be killed by a stronger enemy such as Cazador, so make sure you take out those bloat flies. Now if we enter the main command center of Camp Forlorn Hope, we can find Major Polali, and Major Polali will tell us about the desperate situation of his camp, and we can tell him that we will try to help him out some, to which he will agree. He'll then send us over here to the quartermaster, who tells us that some supplies have gone missing, or not that they've gone missing, but rather they have not returned. He sent them to Helios 1 to recover some supplies, or just ask for some supplies, but they have not come back, but they should have been back already. So we'll head on over to Helios 1, where we can find Lieutenant Haggerty, and she will inform us that yes, there was a group of NCR soldiers that came here to get supplies for Camp Forlorn Hope, and that they already left. She'll give us a position of their last known position, and then we can find that they were ambushed and killed. We can find the shipment, and then we can take the shipment ourselves. Make sure you do loot the NCR troopers, because two of them have a unique item, and those items are Camp Forlorn Hope Letter 1 and 8. You will be ambushed by the Legion when you come here, so do be prepared for a small attack by some Legion recruits. It might depend on your level, so for me this was pretty easy, because on this playthrough, on this account, yeah, I'm pretty low level. But on two of the soldiers, like I said, there are some letters, so make sure you pick those up. Back with Quartermaster Mays, we can inform him that we found the supplies, but unfortunately his men are dead, so that's a bit sad, but we helped him out, and he will tell us, like, thank you, and, that we did a good job. So, pat yourself on the back, and then we'll go back to Major Polali, and we can tell him that we helped Quartermaster Mays, and he'll give us a new task, and that task is to help out the camp's medic, because, well, since this camp is always fighting with the Legion, they have a lot of injured soldiers, and they need as many boots on the ground as they can get. So we'll head over to the medical tent, where we find Dr. Richards. Now, there are two things we can do for Dr. Richards. One, he will tell us that he has missing medical supplies. This will start a separate quest that is unrelated to the quest we are already doing, but we'll go ahead and complete it just for, well, completionist's sake, which is called Medical Mystery. Now, what Major Polali really cares about is us helping Dr. Richards to get as many boots on the ground as possible. So if you have 35, 50, and 75 medical skills, you can treat the NCR soldiers in this room without any equipment. If you don't have those levels, you're going to need some equipment, including tweezers, 3 Med-X, a super stim pack, a medical brace, a bone saw, a bottle of whiskey, and some surgical tubing. Now, thankfully, we can actually find a lot of this equipment inside of the medical tent itself, so just look around and you can find all kinds of useful stuff, and whatever we can't find in there, we can just head on over to the New Vegas clinic and buy it from Dr. Usanagi. So, pretty simple. We can head on back, and with our medical equipment, we can now treat all of the patients, even though we don't have the necessary medical skill. Only thing the medical skill really does is it makes it a little bit less time consuming, but it's really not that hard to get the equipment anyways. After we do that, we can talk to Dr. Richards and tell him that we finished our task, and then we can turn to Major Polali. But before we do that, let's figure out where those medical supplies are going. They are vanishing out of thin air, so they have to be going somewhere, right? And indeed they are. If you wait inside of the medical tent from 1 a.m. to 2:30 a.m., eventually a private by the name of Private Stone will enter the tent. He'll go up to the lockers and he will steal the medical supplies. He will look directly at you and somehow not notice you, but hey, who cares? After that, we will go and report him to Dr. Richards. Now, you don't have to report him. You can also blackmail him or come to get a deal from him or to help yourself, but, you know, I decide I'm a good person in this playthrough. Maybe. We'll talk more about that later. But for now, we'll go tell Dr. Richards about his culprit, about who is stealing his medical supplies. And from here, we'll go find the rest of the Forlorn Hope letters. There are 8 of them in total. The first one that we can find is in this little shack here, letter number 6. There's also some troops in here, and it is considered stealing, so make sure you are hidden. Now, across from that shack, we have the jail. There is nothing of note inside of the jail, besides the fact I thought I'd go ahead and show it off. And as we walk around, we can see the truly deplorable conditions that these soldiers are living in. Now, the next note can be found in this little shack next to a small pond. Over here, there is a lot of soldiers. This is the barracks, so we can see their bunk beds and stuff. Actually, there's not much loot in here. All of these duffel bags are empty, but over here on this desk, we can find letter number 7. Again, it is considered stealing, so make sure no one sees you take it. Now, as we come over here towards the southern side of the camp, we can find the mess hall. However, there really isn't anything of note in the mess hall. These soldiers are very unfortunate to be stationed here. Now, inside of these tents along the south side is where we can find a lot of the letters. We can find letter number 2 in this tent. In that tent there's nothing there. In this tent, there is a duffel bag, and inside of this duffel bag, we can find letter number 3. Across from those tents, we can find letter number 4 just sitting on top of the bed here. And then the last letter we can find is going to be across from the medical tent inside of this small little tent. It's going to be inside of this foot locker. Now, originally there were 9 letters, and in the original game there was a 9th letter in between Camp Forlorn Hope and Sloan. However, this letter was later cut because of the abandoned Brotherhood of Steel bunker, but I'll talk more about that area and that cut content later. If you want to read all of these letters, or if you want to listen to me read them, it'll be at the end of the video. But pretty much these letters just give us a pretty good view about how bad things are at this camp. Soldiers stationed here pretty much expect to die, because that is just how bad the situation here is. And we can get some pretty sad stories as we read these letters. A lot of these soldiers are writing to their girlfriends, their wives, their siblings, and of course their parents. Now, there is one more side quest we can do here, which I think is really interesting. This is given to us by Tech Sergeant Reyes, and this is the quest Return to Sender. Now, the first part of this quest is kind of tedious and kind of long because we have to deliver new radio codes to all of the ranger stations across the map. So we're going to switch back over to my main character, the character I filmed the whole entire Unexplored Mojave with, just because, well, I haven't completed this quest yet with that character. And it's a lot easier because I've discovered every location on the map with this character. So we're just going to go to all of the ranger stations except Charlie, because Charlie was fucking destroyed by the Legion. And we're just going to go to all of the ranger stations and give them the code. So after we do that, we can return to Reyes, and this is where things start to get interesting. She tells us that she's received a lot of strange reports from some of the ranger stations, and she wants us to verify this information because it seems, well, unrealistic. So here are some of the reports that she has received.
We've received some disturbing reports from some of the ranger stations. Heavy casualties at Alpha, super mutant legionaries at Delta. The weirdest one has to be the Great Khans and their trained death claws at Foxtrot. These reports can't be accurate, can they? I know you've already been out there, but...
So after that, we'll go ahead to the 3 ranger stations he mentions, and we'll quickly learn that, yeah, these reports were never created, and that the rangers at all of these stations have no fucking idea what we are talking about and they think we are crazy. So after we get some clarification, we can head on back to Tech Sergeant Reyes and tell her that, yeah, everything that she received, all of those reports were absolute bogus. Then she'll tell us something very interesting. All of these reports have to have been signed off by Chief Hanlon. And of course, Chief Hanlon was the hero of the first battle of Hoover Dam. So there's something really weird or interesting or spicy going on here. So after that, we need to head over to Camp Golf and confront Chief Hanlon about what is going on here. And as you begin to talk to Chief Hanlon, he will initially try to make a whole bunch of excuses and give you some roundabout answers. However, as you question him further, he'll finally kind of admit that, yeah, it is his doing, and that we cannot have this conversation out on the front porch. We have to go to his office. And in here, Chief Hanlon will tell us the truth, and it is very interesting and very spicy indeed. He tells us that he believes the NCR is fighting a losing battle against the Legion. He informs us that he believes the Legion will eventually be victorious, that the NCR cannot win, and that the NCR is simply sending their young men and women to die for no reason. When the courier asks him if the people of the Strip deserve a good defense, he says they might, but Mr. House and the casino families do not, and that they are simply taking advantage of the NCR. So he's falsifying reports to try and scare a lot of the people back home. That way the NCR will stop sending young men and women to the Mojave, where many of them will meet their end. It's a very interesting position. However, personally, I disagree with it. The Mojave and Hoover Dam are very important, and Caesar's Legion must be stopped. It has to be stopped because Caesar's Legion itself will continue expanding westward if the NCR were to lose at Hoover Dam. And of course, in classic New Vegas style, we have many options about how to deal with Chief Hanlon. We can either turn him in, we can side with him and agree with his viewpoint, or we can convince him that he's doing the wrong thing. Convincing him is really easy if Caesar has died, either from cancer or from the hands of the courier. So in my playthrough at this point, I killed Caesar, so I can easily convince Chief Hanlon that Caesar is dead and that he should stop falsifying reports because there is hope for the NCR. Even though I'm actually siding with House and I'm not a big fan of the NCR, but hey, who cares about that? But I just found this to be a very interesting story arc, especially since Chief Hanlon, I do think, is kind of wise. He is smart, but he's also a little mentally ill and just kind of an old man. But he has some very valid points about the Mojave. So what do you guys think? What do you guys do during this quest, Return to Sender? Do you agree with Chief Hanlon or do you disagree with him? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, the quest will end, whatever you decide to do with Chief Hanlon. So we can head back on over to my other character and go to Major Polali to let him know that we've helped out his fine camp. And since we've helped out the camp, he says we are now ready to attack Nelson. So this will engage or start the Battle of Nelson, and we can go meet a small squad of NCR soldiers, as you can see here. Now, to be fair, the squad of NCR soldiers is actually quite small, just 3 soldiers, but Sergeant Cooper here is actually quite the competent fighter. Now, we have 2 options. We can either attack from the north or from the ridge on the east. I always tell the NCR troops to attack from the ridge on the east, and then I kind of approach from the south. I just find it to be the easiest way to deal with the Legion at Nelson. Now, despite the supposed strength of the Legion here at Nelson, I actually find this battle to be pretty darn easy. There's just a bunch of recruit legionaries around, some dogs and stuff like that. So using this plasma rifle, I was able to make quick work of a lot of the Legion. Also kind of got pushed up here by this guy and then they couldn't hit me. And I just thought it was really amusing and kind of funny. But yeah, for the most part, this battle is not too difficult. Maybe you could do it early in the game if you wanted. This Legion Explorer just started running away from me because he's a little bitch. So I kind of chased him around all of Nelson, where I finally found him and then killed him. And this made me vilified by the Legion. So, you know, not bad, I guess. But yeah, it doesn't really matter because I'm not a big fan of the Legion. Inside them, we can find the leader of the Legion, Dead Sea. And in here, there will be kind of a more difficult fight, but using the incinerator, I was able to take care of Dead Sea before he took care of me. And after you kill Dead Sea, definitely make sure you loot his body because he has a unique weapon on him, the Liberator. But after we've killed Dead Sea, we've pretty much liberated Nelson, and we get the Liberator in exchange for liberating Nelson. Look at that. Back outside, there are some NCR troopers on crucifixes being crucified, so you probably want to untie them. I forgot to do that, but we will do that later in the video. I just headed back to Major Polali, and I told him of our success at Nelson, and then you'll get rewarded with some XP, so not bad at all. And obviously, you will get a lot of NCR fame for helping out and getting back Nelson for the NCR. Now, just a couple of things I wanted to point out around Camp Forlorn Hope. There is a kind of overlook / sniper's nest all the way on the top of the ridge over here. Now, this little outpost gives you a great overlook, viewing kind of like New Vegas off in the distance, and El Dorado Dry Lake, and of course Camp Forlorn Hope behind us, just below us. So a really beautiful lookout area. Now, to the east of Camp Forlorn Hope, we have all of these ridges and kind of canyons that kind of snake around, and you can actually go down to the Colorado River if you wish. There is really nothing back here. It's just like hiking trails, really, which is kind of similar to real life, and it's just really open and kind of fun to explore. Now, eventually, though, you will find No Man's Land, and in No Man's Land, there's a lot of mines and stuff, but prior to Dead Money, there were a lot of dead NCR soldiers in this area, and over here is where we would have found Camp Forlorn Hope letter number 9 on an injured NCR soldier. But with the Dead Money DLC, these NCR soldiers were removed because of console limitations, which is quite unfortunate because you can kind of see how they developed that area to be a type of no man's land. It's really unfortunate that that was had to be cut from the game eventually, but it was in the game when it originally released, so it's just kind of a shame that it didn't make it to, well, today. Now, just east of Nelson, kind of below Nelson, along on this ridge, we can find some more legionaries and kind of a small, like, sniper's nest that overlooks the Colorado River. Really isn't a whole lot here, but I just wanted to point out there are 3 graves down here. I don't know if they're graves of legionaries or NCR soldiers. My guess would probably be Legion graves. Perhaps they died when they initially attacked the NCR here. I covered this in my Graves of the Mojave video, but since I don't have a shovel, I cannot open up the graves, but usually graves just give you random loot, and it can range from not so good to mediocre. Now, as we approach Nelson itself, originally Nelson was going to be a lot bigger. It was going to be a huge fortress, and this actually was its initial design. But the creators of Fallout New Vegas thought that this went against the lore of the NCR and the Legion. They figured neither faction had the resources to build up Nelson to be a giant fort from a small mining town during the pre-war era. Now, there are all of these houses littered around Nelson. None of them really have all that much, except in the house next to the barracks, we can find this Nuka-Cola Victory behind the refrigerator there. But do be warned, if you take anything from Nelson, it is considered stealing. Now, here are those NCR soldiers I mentioned earlier that were being crucified. Of course, we want to untie them if you're with the NCR. If you're supporting the Legion, then don't untie them. And these NCR soldiers will start running up the road. And you'll probably want to follow them because they'll take you to Ranger Milo. And he will actually has a different quest surrounding Nelson about rescuing his soldiers. So once you've rescued his soldiers, he will give you some caps. And of course, you'll get some NCR fame and some XP for helping him out. Now, Nelson, kind of like Camp Forlorn Hope, also has this sniper's nest up along this ridge, but it kind of just leads down this alley. It doesn't have a very good overlook of the surrounding area. Here we can find those dead NCR soldiers from the attack earlier, so we'll take their dog tags. Now, doing some movie magic and traveling back in time, what if we made different decisions? What if we supported the Legion and we have to attack Camp Forlorn Hope? It's actually pretty straightforward, because Dead Sea, under orders from Caesar, is not to go on the offensive. He is purely playing a defensive tactic here, and occasionally he sends off raiding parties against the NCR. But we can convince him to let us go attack Camp Forlorn Hope, and he instructs us to kill all of the leadership at Camp Forlorn Hope. I snuck a grenade into the back pocket of Quartermaster Mays, blew him up, then I used Stealth Boys to take out the rest of the leaders. Now, on Quartermaster Maze, we can get a key to unlock the very hard locked door for the Camp Forlorn Hope storage shack. And inside we can get a lot of healing items, but besides that, there really isn't a whole lot. Then, using the Stealth Boy, we can kill Major Polali, and then we can go kill Dr. Richards, and we probably blew up some of the poor NCR soldiers that were injured. Man, we quickly became a very bad person. Then we'll head back over to the command tent, where we will kill Tech Sergeant Reyes. Man, just pure chaos. Now, you don't have to kill all of the NCR soldiers, you just have to kill their leaders. So once they are dead, you can just run away from the camp, which is really easy to do because the AI cannot navigate through these canyons and hiking trails very well. So we'll just run away, and then we can make our way back to Dead Sea. And as a reward for taking Camp Forlorn Hope for the Legion, he will give us his sword, the Liberator. So no matter which side you choose, the Legion or the NCR, everyone can get the Liberator, which is pretty cool. Now, if you stayed around for this long, I wanted to go over all of the letters, the Forlorn Hope letters, and just read them so you can see what they have to say. Now, if you're not interested in this, of course, you can just click off the video, and I'm not offended at all, but thank you for watching. But if you're interested, here we go. Forlorn Hope letter number 1. To my dearest Ellen, we're in a tough spot here, and none of the men expect to make it out alive. Things look pretty grim. I'm writing this so that if anything happens to me, you know how much you meant to me. I was foolish to join the NCR and leave you behind, and I've regretted it every second of every day that I've been here. My only wish now is to see you again and hold you in my arms. The only thing that keeps me going are my thoughts of you. Just know that I made mistakes, but you were the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm sorry, and I love you. Harry. Forlorn Hope letter number 2. Dear Janie, if you're reading this, that means that I didn't make it. I want you to know that you were the most important thing in my world. You were my sun, my moon, my stars. Even out here on the battlefield, I thought of you of every minute of every day. At night, I put your picture on the bunk above me and looked into your beautiful eyes until I fell asleep. Even though I'm gone, know that I'll always be with you. Just close your eyes and think of me, and I'll be there, right by your side. Daniel. Forlorn Hope letter number 3. Dear Mom and Dad, if you're reading this, you know I won't be coming home. I'm sorry how this all ended. I'm sorry for all the times that I didn't listen to you. I'm sorry for storming out the way I did. But I want you to know that you are the best parents anyone could ever have. You gave me everything I could have ever wanted, and I only now see that. Thank you for everything, your son, James. Forlorn Hope letter number 4. Audrey, things have gotten pretty grim since my last letter. The conditions here at Forlorn Hope just keep getting worse and worse. Food is scarce, medicine and supplies are limited, and we're all scared out of our minds. We lose a handful of good men every day. It's hard seeing all your friends die. The Major does his best to inspire hope and confidence, but it's just not working anymore. Too many people have died here. Dr. Richards is a good man, if a little odd, but there's just too many wounded for him to handle. Through all this strife, I take solace in the fact that I'm fighting to keep our family safe. And when the NCR wins this fight, it'll make the world a better place for all of us. Take care of the kids, and I'll write you again soon. Ted. Forlorn Hope letter number 5. Dear Ma and Pa, if you're getting this letter, then I'm sure you've already heard the news. I'm sorry, but know now that I'm in a better place. Tell Mikey I did good, okay? You were the best family ever, and I hope I've made you all proud. Will. Forlorn Hope letter number 6. To my darling Gracie, know that I died fighting for what I believed in. I know you never understood why I had to do this, but I'm thankful that you supported me anyway. I appreciated every letter you sent. They gave me hope when we had none out here. You were always the one thing that kept me going, and I thank you for that. I wish that this could have turned out differently, but know that I loved you with all my heart. Jeff. Forlorn Hope letter number 7. Dear sister, they're sending me into no man's land tomorrow, and by the time you read this, I'll be dead. That means that once again, you were right and I was wrong. Ever since we were kids, I was always a thorn in your side, always doing everything you told me not to. Now, as I'm about to go off to my death, I realize you were only looking out for me all these years. I'm so sorry. I can only hope that you can find it in your heart to forgive me. Kevin. Forlorn Hope, letter 8. To my brothers, if you're reading this, then I was probably killed by some slimy Legion scum who got lucky. Hopefully the bastard is dead and 6 feet under. But if not, you better avenge me or I will haunt you until the day you die. Quincy. P.S. Kill all the Legion dogs that I wasn't able to. Forlorn Hope, letter number 9. The letter that was cut. Dearest Andrew. Writing this seems pretty morbid, but tomorrow we march into the no man's land between our camp and Nelson, which is crawling with Legion. The Major insisted I write this damn if you get this I'm dead letter, so here it is. What a crock. I have the luck of the devil and your love on my side, so I'll be home soon. Keep the porch light on for me. We'll party in New Vegas when I get back. I love you, Devin. Obviously, Devin never made it back to his dearest Andrew. Alright everyone, and there you have it, Nelson and Camp Forlorn Hope. Now, real quick, some interesting facts. Like I said earlier, Nelson is based on the real-world Nelson, Nevada, roughly in the same geographic location. Now, Camp Forlorn Hope is named after Forlorn Hope because it is military slang for a body of troops chosen to take the leading part in a combat operation, such as an assault on a defended position, or is defending a hazardous position where the risk of heavy casualties and failure is high. Also, while going around Camp Forlorn Hope, you might notice that it looks a little bit different from the rest of the game, and that's because it does. The colors at Camp Forlorn Hope are a little bit muted and a little bit more sepia toned, so that's why it looks a little bit more grim and a little bit more kind of brownish. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Besides for some of the vaults and the South Vegas ruins, we've pretty much covered every single location in Fallout New Vegas. This has been an epic adventure, and this video was really satisfying to make as we approach the end of the Unexplored Mojave. But don't you guys worry, I have a lot of other ideas and projects in mind. If you guys have any other video ideas for the Unexplored Mojave or anything else in general, please post them in the comment section below. I always read the comments and I always love seeing what you guys say. Again, thank you so much for watching. You guys are so freaking awesome. And as always, until next time.